Topic Thunder, it's Topic Thunder. Just acknowledge it, knowledge with no scholarships. It's Topic Thunder, it's Topic Thunder. Breaking everything down, tech to politics. It's Topic Thunder, it's Topic Thunder. We don't tell you what you want, we just give you what you need. It's Topic Thunder, it's Topic Thunder. News, brews, and views from these Chi-Town streets. Topic Thunder.
And we are live, we're live, ladies and gentlemen. It's a little bit late. Sorry, we ran into tech diff. Actually, we should just call it T-diff. And anybody there's a terrible disease that was like the worst thing you could deal with in a hospital before COVID. That was the one thing, like when somebody had C. diff, and it was a lot of brown stuff. It was an intestinal thing that once you heard C. diff back in the day, you'd be like, bleach, get the bleach wipes.
Oh my God, it's gonna get messy.
Right. So now a T. diff. Hi, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Topic Thunder, the podcast, the Internet Saloon podcast for all of your. It's like a ginormous kind of like salad of information here. Hashtag that,
if you will.
Yeah, that's Ben, and I'm Brooks. And if you've been along the ride here the last week, we talked last week about the Hurricane Ida and the unfortunate situation people in the Louisiana area found themselves in. If you go to our Instagram right now, and that's Topic Thunder Podcast, to go to your Insta, we have a link tree. There's been some more progress along the lines here, and we have chosen here at the office the Cajun Navy Relief Fund. And if you're not familiar with the Cajun Navy, it is literally a bunch of volunteers who have boats that will either bring supplies to you or come and rescue you from situations if you need to get out. So I have already donated some.
I will when the show is over for sure.
And so we have a sponsor who has said that he will match the proceeds here. So if you, the listeners of Topic Thunder, would be so kind as to go ahead and donate whatever you can to the link there for the Cajun Navy. Again, just go to our Instagram page, Topic Thunder Podcast. The link is right there. It is a secure link through PayPal. Whatever you can donate, just send us a receipt. I need to be able to verify to our sponsor, because I can't just say, yeah, they spent $723. Wink, wink, match that. I would assume this mysterious benefactor would like to see the receipts. So go ahead and send us the receipts to topicthunderpodcast@gmail.com. Hold on,
I have also put the link in the comments. It shows on Twitch and on YouTube so far that they have gone through. Facebook, you may not see the link. But
how about this? Yeah, just send me a screenshot or forward me the email, the official email for the show, until we can get our own kind of, server, but who knows about that? Right. It's actually the Topic Thunder Podcast @gmail. So the Topic Thunder Podcast @gmail. You go ahead and send us a receipt there for your donation to the Cajun Navy.
No, shit.
Oh shit! Yeah,
I got ahead of myself there. Shit.
Oh yeah, and actually, just because this is probably going to be the most human episode of Topic Thunder we've had, at least recently here too. So with every episode, ladies and gentlemen, we have ourselves a beverage. We have ourselves, in this case, a beer. And being September, I believe it is National Suicide Awareness Month, this beer is entitled "Things We Don't Say." It's a craft beer for mental health. And it's a really cool idea out of a brewery from Milwaukee, tied with a group right there that you can see that is trying to bring to light some of the mental health issues that plague not only everybody, but also that exist in the brewing industry, specifically because this beer was made by craft brewers. So again, folks, the recipe is like open source too. What I found out too, because I believe you right there's a link right there. It says for the recipe.
Download the recipe. Yeah,
you can make that. So it's kind of like they're encouraging other brewers to get on board. So this particular one was from I believe it is Mars, MARZ beer. and again, like a kind of like an open source idea, and some
That's
of the
so
proceeds.
cool.
Yeah, it's a pretty neat idea. So let's see how the beer tastes, actually. I believe they call this a New England India Pale Ale, and it hits all those notes for sure and kind of leaves the mouth watering. So cheers to them, and cheers to their cause. And like I said, probably the most human episode of Topic Thunder coming at you right here on this Labor Day weekend. So I guess let's just.
I don't tend to be very human on this show sometimes. So
I think and this wasn't by any kind of like just the way that the kind of thing is just kind of rolled out here from the offices here. So without any further ado, ladies and gentlemen, the headlines. And we are going to start off with the hurricane story. And I think, Ben, I think you asked, and then everybody eventually comes to this question when considering the amount of hurricanes that come to that specific area, and specifically New Orleans and some of the more ravaged parishes there, like Jefferson Parish. Everybody initially comes to some kind of idea of like, well, why are you still there? Right. Why do you still live there? If it's
a logical question.
I just saw this story from the AP, and since we're again in the mood to donate, and again we've chosen the Cajun Navy Relief, just go to our Instagram page at Topic Thunder Podcast on Instagram and find the link tree. Click the link, give what you can, send us the receipts, and somebody will match it. And one of our sponsors will match, and not just some stranger, one of our sponsors. But this is an AP story from New Orleans, and just because it goes to kind of highlight what we're talking about here in the spirit of being just human and giving and caring about each other. So Dateline New Orleans, AP, hello. Shrimp and grits served for breakfast on the sidewalk at El Pavo Real. Super secret seasoned pork and braised greens handed out at the door at Live Oak Cafe. Spicy jambalaya dished out under a canopy erected on an empty sun-scorched streetcar track nearby, where a couple who just wanted to help. The story is describing just random strangers who are setting up food tents, basically, and putting out whatever they can afford to put out for strangers to come and take. And in many instances, like they have those like mini libraries or sometimes mini food pantries. Sure. They're springing up organically all over the city of New Orleans. It is awesome. And further down, they'll highlight. It's a nice little story. It is actually a nice, feel-good story in a terrible situation, which, again, these people shouldn't be in that situation because the supply should be there, and that we can talk infrastructure and why this keeps happening. Okay, we're just talking about the human interest and how people eventually just have to take care of each other, which I guess we kind of need to realize that more and more often. Somebody asked a resident what we've just asked of ourselves. This is the quote. Somebody asked, "Why would you stay there? Does this make you want to move?" And this was Betty Matheny replied, "No, why would I want to move? People are so amazing. You don't find this anywhere else, And you can't fight against something like that. You can't fight against the pull of a community.
I suppose, but man, like again, we talked about last week, like in our lifetime, there's a good chance that the city of New Orleans won't exist. It'll cease to exist. It won't be inhabitable anymore. It can only sustain so many of these hurricanes and these floodings. You can only rebuild back so quick before it happens again. It's just, you have to get to the point where do you just declare it like an inhabitable zone, and you have to move. You got to find somewhere else because you're living in an area where it's most certainly not going to be stable for very long. There's got to be I get that part. I get that. Hey, I don't want to leave. There's got to come to a point where it's like you don't have a choice anymore. You got to go for your own safety. I know you want to stay, but it's just, I can't imagine wanting to stay on a coast right now, knowing what we know about climate change and the lack of effort being put into doing anything about it.
Yeah, well, I think the education part of that plays into that too, because some people probably just don't believe or don't care. And this kind of cuts across several favorite topics of the show. Sure. But there's also, I would imagine, a majority Christian area down there. And part of the problem with that is folks like that plum just think there's a better place after this one, and this life doesn't really matter, and it's easy to make decisions based on the idea like, well, I believe that
Right.
I'm going to the kingdom of heaven
So
after this, so I don't, who needs better bridges or solutions to concrete or anything like that, right? Just who cares?
I can't wrap my head around that, Brooks. I never will, and that maybe that's a flaw that I have, but I can't wrap my head around that. So
I can understand your belief system. I just can't understand how you don't believe somebody else thinks something different. Like that's the part that like kind of, there's a short circuit in my head there. Like I believe other people believe certain things. Like
sure.
irrefutably, you believe that.
Right.
Cool.
Right. You're allowed to believe anything you want, but yeah.
But there's only there's a lot of beliefs, which
Right.
actually kind of leads us into our second story, believe it or not.
Yeah.
And Texas has been making headlines. They've been making headlines for all year.
Yeah.
And
This last set of headlines though is really rough.
well, you've kind of made it when the Satanic Temple takes legal action against you. Congratulations, Texas. The Satanic Temple has filed a lawsuit against the Texan abortion law. So, pro-choice advocates in Texas. Oh, and this is from the independent .uk. Pro-choice advocates in Texas have offered a faint ray of hope from a possibly unexpected source this week: Satanists. Purportedly in the name of religious freedom, the Satanic Temple has hit back hard against the state's recent institution of draconian anti-abortion laws. The Massachusetts-based religious group has filed a letter with the U.S. Food and Drug Administration to make the case that abortion is the faith-based right of its members. The Satanic Temple argued under the Religious Freedom Restoration Act, which was created to allow Native Americans to access peyote for use in their rituals, its members should be allowed to access abortion pills without regulatory action. Satanic Temple spokesperson Lucian Greaves said in a statement,
I
quote,
love that name. If I could come up with like a pen name, Lucian Greaves is a really fucking good one. Yeah.
like you get the long L and then you get that hard G and like it scribbles in between.
Yes,
Like
an S at the end where you can come back with it if you want. Yeah.
I am Lucian Greaves of the Satanic Temple. Like, whoa, all right, cool. Where's your business card? Anyway, Mr. Greaves says, I am sure the Texas Attorney General Ken Paxton, who famously spends a good deal of his time composing press releases about religious liberty issues in other states, will be proud to see that the Texas robust religious liberty laws, which he so ferociously champions, will prevent future abortion rituals, that's what they have, abortion rituals, from being interrupted by superfluous government restrictions meant only to shame and harass those seeking an abortion. He added that Satanists hold bodily autonomy and science sacrosanct, and abortion rituals are an important part of those beliefs. So there you have it, folks.
It's so crazy. That's great. That's awesome. And the Satanists have actually been on all these kind of religious issues, have been there to respond back pretty quickly. They're pretty outspoken about these types of things. But man, this allows us to park for a second on this fucking story. And holy fuck, Brooks. This story, when I first heard it, I was like, okay, they're banning abortion, right? Then you dig into it a little bit more and you find out what it really is. And this is some of the most fucked up shit I think America has done in a long time. I won't say ever, because we've done some pretty fucked up shit as we've covered in the past. But for the first time in a really long time, this is fucked up, where it skirts around making it a legal issue and making abortion illegal, quote unquote. What it allows it to become is a civil issue. So people can sit outside abortion clinics or Planned Parenthoods, just normal citizens, and write down the license plate numbers and then go and look up the information based on the license plate number of that person. And if they find out that that person got an abortion at that time, that citizen can sue the person getting the abortion and the person that drove them to the abortion clinic or the Planned Parenthood. And then the government will give you $10,000 for snitching on your neighbor for getting a medical procedure. What the fuck are we talking about? You want to talk about communism? There's a lot of people throwing around the word communism in our government, right? They anything that talks about helping the needy is socialism or communism. Folks, there is nothing more communist than the state paying you to snitch on your neighbor. That is as fascist as it fucking gets, ladies and gentlemen. It is preposterous that this was allowed. And then for the Supreme Court to uphold this based on nothing more than political lines. Politics should not come into this, ladies and gentlemen. This is not a political issue. This is a medical issue. And it drives me crazy to think that the Supreme Court, the biggest court in the entire land, these judges aren't supposed to be impartial. They're allowed to be impartial. They're allowed to bring their own personal beliefs and politics into their decisions. That doesn't seem right to me. A judge in that position should have to be impartial and just look at it from a constitutionality standpoint. There is no way anybody that is looking at anything about this says that this is constitutional, but it's being upheld by partisan politics, by, might I add, appointees of a man who lost the popular vote twice, didn't get reelected. This is, and now this preposterous law, this communist law is being allowed to stand. It's mind-blowing. No one can defend this. I dare anyone. I will come on this show next week and debate this with me. I swear to God, I will supply you with I won't interrupt you. I won't be a dick about it. Help me understand how this is a good thing. It doesn't make sense.
Two things from my perspective, because you said it all basically, but two things. That's a state paid bounty.
Yes.
That's a bounty. That is, think of the Old West. That is like a picture of some grizzly dude with a bad hat and a straw sticking out of his mouth and, wanted dead or alive, $10,000. And that's what we're talking about here. And you're talking about ratting out for not only a medical, let's just forget it. Let's just strip away that it's an abortion thing, right? Let's just try to remove that scenario from that. The government, hang on here, the government is going to pay you to report on your neighbors for their activities, their personal activities. That right there should also fly in the face of some freedom-loving Texans, because that opens the door for a whole lot of other things too.
Seems to fly in the face of everything they say they stand for.
Are you smoking pot?
Nope.
Oh, well, even though it might be at some point federally legal, maybe it won't be in Texas, and maybe somebody can report you and the cops show up and you get busted with pot. Maybe they get paid $10,000.
That's not the type of system. That's not the type of society we were supposed to have been setting up, ladies and gentlemen. That is not how it's supposed to work, where you're snitching on your neighbors to the government. And it's so ridiculous that the conservatives are the ones that they got to be in their own head. It's got to be such a fucked up situation, right? Because on one hand, they hate abortion, but they also hate the government telling them what to do. It's got to be this like weird mashup in their head where I can't imagine how they rectify having both of those beliefs simultaneously. And by the way, I meant to ask you this. Obviously, Chris Kowalski is not. It's your aunt. What is her aunt? What? How do we refer to? I don't want to just refer to her as Brooks's aunt. What is aunt?
Shit. Oh, it's Chris.
Aunt Chris. Okay.
Oh, just Chris.
Gotcha.
Just Chris.
Okay, no problem. But yeah, she says she asked what's going on in Texas. Look it up. It is a preposterous law. And there was another 600 plus laws that were also put into effect. Voting restrictions, restrictions on teaching in schools. Opening up open carry even more. to that you don't even need a license or having been trained or anything to open carry in Texas now. It is a weird time to live in Texas, man. It really is, because it's like, where do I live now? I live in a place where people are being paid. Now, you're talking about people don't want to go to work. Well, if I know, I could just sit outside of a Planned Parenthood and I can write down the license plate number of every woman that goes in there, and I just sue every one of them. One of them is going to have gotten an abortion there or something, right? And it's worth $10,000 for me to have to catch someone doing this. What's crazy is, think about this, guys. Here's another scenario: a father could impregnate his daughter and force her to have that child, or if she were to get an abortion, he could sue her and the state would award him $10,000. That is a real scenario that could play out under this law. It's insane. It is insane, and I wish someone would try to defend it to me, because it's one of the most baffling things I've seen in my lifetime. It really is. It's disgusting.
It defies logic, and it's just this is pure authoritarianism.
It
Like,
really is.
yeah, where is this again? It just opens up a box that, like, I don't. Maybe they wanted to open, and maybe this is just the right divisive. Like, it'll get people to lurch outside of their, like, maybe moral or political comfort zone, because it's such an emotional issue for some, for most or some, that they're like, they'll be okay. Yes, we'll agree to this draconian measure without thinking the long-term consequences and the possibility to abuse this sort of power, because this is not
going to be. It's human nature to abuse power. We cannot help ourselves as human beings that are given any kind of power. It's been studied over and over again, ladies and gentlemen. There have been numerous studies on when human beings get power over other human beings, how that changes the way that they interact with human beings. It's mind blowing to me. We're even discussing this.
And life as a lawyer and attorney in Texas, can you now imagine, like, how many attorneys are like scumbag attorneys? Which, by the way, the same people that wanted this law are the same people that sit in the backyards with drinking whiskey or beer or whatever, where the kids are playing. They're having an adult conversation. They're talking about what's wrong with the country. Like, yeah, there's too many of them damn lawyers and there's too many of them damn lawsuits. Everybody's suing each other. And these are the same people that are like, yeah, okay, I like that idea. I can sue my neighbor because they had a medical procedure that I don't agree with.
Think what you just said out loud. When you say the words out loud, or you hear someone say the words out loud, it's one thing to read it, right? But when you hear someone say it, you go, oh yeah, we don't want that. We don't want the government paying people to snitch on their neighbors for getting a medical procedure. That's a bad idea. No matter how you feel about abortion, that you got to look deeper and go, whoa, pump the brakes a little bit here. That's ridiculous. But it also goes to this next step of it, and kind of what we talked about last week, which was these QAnon people and these really far right-wing people infiltrating school boards and local state governments and overall state governments, state senates and things of that nature. As they start to infiltrate more and more, we're seeing now the Supreme Court is stacked against liberal ideas. So, and we know now this was an obvious statement that the Supreme Court is not going to do the legally correct thing when given the opportunity. So now there's no like, well, will they or won't they? Well, let's hold out hope that the Supreme Court will do the right thing. We now know the Supreme Court is going to allow all these crazy conservative things to be upheld based on political beliefs. So, guys, it's more important than ever to be paying attention to your local elections, your school board elections, your local county board collection, your city board. You got to pay attention to those things, because this is only the start. They are going to go from the ground up, and they have protection from the top. Yeah, we may be in control now as liberals, as Democrats, quote unquote, but it may not be more than 4 years. It may be 2 years that we have, and we're clearly not getting any of the real agenda done with the power that we do have. So if you're a liberal, you say, yeah, we got Trump out of office, but at what cost? Long term, what cost? Because it awoke a whole sea of people that are now getting into local politics and school board politics, and it's going to shape the way we teach our children and the government and what is allowed. Unconstitutional laws are being upheld by the Supreme Court.
There's some interesting things that in another Forbes article regarding this topic brought up that I wanted to kind of bring to everybody's attention. And the section that is labeled "What to Watch For" from Forbes. More states are expected to follow in Texas's footsteps and attempt to pass legislation that mimics SB 8. Lawmakers in states including Florida, North Dakota, Mississippi, Arkansas, South Dakota, and Indiana have signaled their intentions to try and pass similar bills. And John Seago, the legislative director of the Texas Right to Life, told Forbes Thursday he was personally working with 3 states on their own legislation.
Here we go. The Supreme Court upheld it, ladies and gentlemen. They are now all free to do it. Every Republican-led state Senate is going to pass this type of law because there's nobody's going to stop them. The Supreme Court, you understand that when the Supreme Court says something, there's no going above them, right? Like there's no, okay, we'll go to the next guy. No, they're the last guy. And on political lines only, they allowed an unconstitutional law. Any constitutional lawyer looks at that and says that's unconstitutional.
Well, I think there's going to be several challenges to this whole thing, right? Mm-hmm. And the Forbes article points out that House Speaker Nancy Pelosi has said that the House will take up a vote on the Women's Health Protection Act, which would enshrine the right to an abortion in federal law. And Senator Amy Klobuchar of Minnesota called on the Senate to abolish the filibuster so that the Senate can pass this bill. Like that's a whole nother conversation too. But like there is going to be further challenge to this. And
so if there's a federal law allowing abortion, then the state law it can be null and void. Is that what I'm understanding?
I don't know, null and void. I think it's just another arena for them to kind of like dance in the political fight for this. I don't really know the logistics and the legals regarding that, because that's probably such a morass to get yourself into. I don't know. I just know what I think, what I feel like. Do I agree that abortion is a form of contraception? No. I think
nobody believes that.
No, I don't think anybody believes that. I think that's an outrageous thing that
the only people that say that are people that don't know someone that has gone through an abortion.
And we've all seen the memes about how vasectomies are a much more effective form of and how a man can get 100 women pregnant, but a woman can only get pregnant once, basically within a calendar year, unless you got those Irish twins.
Yes.
But we've seen all of those things just remind us the lack of logic behind these decisions, and how again this is Sharia law, right? This is controlling women. We just kind of gussy it up a different way and put some lipstick on this pig a little bit differently, but it's the same thing.
The same people that are talking shit about the Taliban are passing these same laws. They talk about, can't bring in these immigrants because then they'll bring in Sharia law. Well, guess what, guys? We have it already. And it's under this preposterous idea that women are using abortion as contraception. That's just not factually accurate whatsoever. The emotional and physical toll it takes on a woman to go through an abortion is not something that women are like, you know what, I'm just going to let any dude blast off at me because I could just go get an abortion and not have to worry about it. Like, that's not happening. It's just not happening.
It probably is, and I'm sure it is. Statistically, it's happening. Right.
Instances, yes. Okay.
but again, is that a lack of education? Is that a lack of access to proper other medical care and other forms of contraception, which would be much cheaper? Like, give that woman, if that's the case, and that woman is like using abortion of all things to go through such a horribly physically stressful and dicey procedure sometimes
Yes.
for the woman receiving it, because there's no guarantee like it goes right. I don't think that's another thing that
Sure. The risk of it that I don't think people realize. Yeah.
there's a risk. There's a ginormous risk. Bleeding out is probably one of the main. And anyway, you to like sit there and be like, yeah, I don't know, man. This is just for two white guys to sit here and
it's insane because it's a subject that has always been controlled by men, and it's an issue that is uniquely woman. A man never has to make anything close to the decision of, should I carry out a pregnancy or not? Am I prepared to carry out a pregnancy or not? Do I want to put my body through a pregnancy right now or not? Like, we never, ever, ever, ever will ever have to make that decision. And so we shouldn't have a say. We shouldn't get a say in abortion as men. We are not brought to the table as part of the discussion. I'm sorry. I don't see any reason our opinion matters when it comes to whether or not a woman should be allowed to have an abortion or whether she should be forced to carry out a pregnancy. That's not, you have to allow a woman to have that choice because it's not, you can't compare it to anything else. It's a unique thing that you have to allow women to have that choice of whether they want to put their bodies through that or not, or whether they're ready emotionally or mentally. I had a conversation with a guy the other day, and every serial killer documentary you've ever seen, with the exception of maybe Jeffrey Dahmer, he's like the outlier. But every other serial killer story you've ever heard, it always starts the same. Child born to a mother or parents that were either drug addicts or emotionally unprepared to be parents and were abusive and or neglectful to that child to the point where they became serial killers. Crime, the most of the crime comes from people that were brought into homes that they're not properly cared for. The parents aren't prepared or capable of properly raising them to be, productive members of society. There are so many unwanted children already, and we have so many problems that come from unwanted children that abortion almost seems like the right thing in a lot of cases. It's the right thing to do. If you are, as a woman, want to make that decision, if you are not prepared, you should not bring a child into this world, right? You should have that option.
I think what your comparison to the serial killer thing, I think actually you just kind of went against the grain here and actually made people probably for this terrible law, because the amount of people that I know that enjoy serial killer documentaries on Netflix is fucking disturbing. Can we talk about that? Can we do a segment on that?
True crime
fucking weirdos. You want to watch 90 minutes of some dude who peeled the skin off living human beings, and why would you want to be reminded of somebody doing that? Let alone like get into their head. Oh, it's so fascinating. Look at what they thought. Look at they could go grocery shopping by themselves, but at the end they cut off the feet of little boys and hang them across their neck. What's wrong with you watching that? Anyway, sorry about that.
Yeah, you went on a little tangent there.
I just don't. I can't stand that stuff. It gives me the creepy crawlies. Like it's unsettling to me.
Oh, dude, I usually don't get unsettled, but since we're talking about it, on Peacock Network, there is a documentary. They also made a show out of it, but there's a documentary about this guy called Dr. Death. And it is the first time I ever saw something where I kept saying to my wife, like, it made me physically uncomfortable to watch it. Because I don't want to spoil anything for you. If you haven't seen it already, please go see it. I know Brooks may not see it, or Gigi, she's saying yes. I don't know if she's seen it or not, but it is wholly uncomfortable, like skin crawly uncomfortable. And I don't know why, because it's not like oh man, I don't want to spoil it for anybody, but it is amazing. And you're right. The only reason I bring it up is because I got that same feeling where you're like skin crawling. Yeah.
I look, I grew up with a bunch of friends that like to have parties and rent Faces of Death and watch it on a big screen TV.
Yeah.
So like, and even then it was like, oh, come on. All right. Anyway,
All right,
I don't know.
this topic for a long time. I apologize. I got on a fucking tangent there.
Oh no, that's fine. We like to check in every once in a while with the right wing crowd and see what they're up to. And well, from CNBC, former Georgia District Attorney Jackie Johnson was criminally charged the other day over the investigation into Ahmaud Arbery's shooting death. Now, if you remember who Ahmaud Arbery is, he was the young black gentleman who is running in a suburban Atlanta, I believe.
He was shot for running while black.
Basically, yes, by three men in a pickup truck with shotguns.
Yes,
wasn't that a police shooting? Surprise, surprise. This was literally just a bunch of dudes in a pickup truck who saw a black guy running in a neighborhood. Didn't think they literally thought, or at least they say they thought he must have been robbed somebody, because why else would a black dude be running in this neighborhood?
Yeah, because he had Tim's on when he was running. So why would a black guy be running through a neighborhood that he doesn't belong in Timberlands? So he must have been up to no good.
Well, former district attorney in Georgia was indicted Thursday of charges of violating her oath of office and obstructing a police officer in connection with the investigation into the killing of Ahmaud Arbery. Former Brunswick Judicial Court Circuit top prosecutor, easy for me to say, I have a podcast, Jackie Johnson is accused of showing favor to one defendant in the killing, retired police officer Greg McMichael, who had worked as an investigator for her. The grand jury's indictment says Johnson recommended the appointment of another county's prosecutor to handle the case without revealing that she had actually previously sought the assistance of that other prosecutor in the case. So this lady legally voted into office to prosecute criminals for criminal activity, did a favor for somebody that used to work for her, who happened to be a retired police officer, who was among two other men who shot another man in cold blood. This lady, this may surprise you, was kind of like a MAGA kind of.
Yeah.
You might
probably agreed with these guys.
There's something there. And speaking of the MAGA flavor, we're going to check in with the Daily. This is from the Daily Beast, and we're going to go to Mesa County, Colorado. Hello. MAGA election clerk Tina Peters is accused of not counting ballots.
I thought you said Tiny Peters for a second.
Tina Peters. It could be Tiny. My God.
I got you tongue tied now.
Tiny Peters. And look, it's a holiday weekend, so like we had a beer before the beer. You know what I'm saying?
Of course, you've been on staycation for a week now.
Oh, it's been fabulous.
I bet.
We just did that. It's been great.
I bet.
Look, we hit St. Louis like last weekend and hung out with the fam.
You were lightsabering it up the other day. It was fucking great.
Yeah, and then we just decided that we're gonna be goofy tourists in the city we live in, and yeah,
it's so great. Yeah, if you haven't check out his Facebook page, ladies and gentlemen, it's been a riot following Staycation Brooks.
And I should probably be posting more of stuff like that. I get again, that's but my social media manager is on me about that stuff. So I guess
it's hard to do that. It's hard to do it. So
it is hard to do it.
Back to Tiny Peters.
Back to Tiny Peters. I've looked at it objectively, Peters said, of supposed issues in election data during her speech at My Pillow CEO Mike Lindell's Cyber Symposium this month. There's some discrepancies there that I cannot deny, and I tell people I cannot unsee some of these things. If I'm going to be honest with the people of Mesa County and Colorado and all of you, I cannot unsee some of these things. But at home in Mesa County, some current and former officials have a different recollection of Peters' tenure overseeing elections. During Peters' first year as clerk in 2019, her office was blamed for leaving more than 570 uncounted ballots in a box long past an election. Less than a year later, one of her office drop boxes leaked ballots. Let's repeat that sentence. Less than a year later, one of her office's drop boxes leaked ballots, sending some floating in the summer breeze. Now, Peters has gone underground, reportedly hiding in a safe house provided by Lindell
Fuck out of here.
after she allegedly participated in a breach of Mesa County voting data this year. That data soon wound up on conspiracy websites, making Peters a folk hero among the MAGA set and the subject of an FBI investigation.
Suck on that, dickhead.
This is another thing that blows my mind is this fervent belief that still here we are, still September.
Forever, for the rest of our lives, Brooks, these people will believe that election was stolen. There is a significant number of people that, for as long as they live, will believe, like Mike Lindell, that election was stolen and that millions, with an M, millions of votes were switched by either Hugo Chavez, China, Joe Biden. Or
Billy White brings up a really good, but let's not bury the lead here, right? A safe house provided by Mike Lindell.
Think about that. That's crazy when you say it, right? What?
And if you saw any of that internet symposium, you saw a man clearly like on a bender, which is basically what that was. It was a 3-day bender of celebrity and probably allegedly drugs. For those, and then the moment he got hit with that one point, the court let that Dominion lawsuit go through. He gets rushed off stage. Come on, this guy's providing safe houses.
He's gonna run out of money sooner or later.
It depends on where he's getting his money from.
Yeah,
I would say, because like if this guy, he wouldn't be the
only on his own island though. Like everyone else seems to be distancing themselves from that guy, except for people that are like really deep in it, like this lady.
How long till Rudy? We get like Mike Lindell's put Rudy up somewhere.
Yeah, because the wall's got to be closing in on him soon.
Oh yeah, for sure. Speaking of walls closing in, and there's no segue here. There's another COVID variant we have to be aware of, and not much is known about this one other than it is so far the most mutated version of the virus. It was detected first in South Africa, and they are calling it the C12. That would be C.1.2. So
good. That's great.
Yeah, just to let you know. This
is what we live with for the rest of our lives, right, Brooks?
It's pretty much now like it's the new flu.
We didn't get control of it enough, and now this is the new normal.
Well, yeah, I was thinking about this today because I was going for a walk, right? And you're walking around the city, and sure, it's crowded, sure, like, but you're looking around, just people outside, and half the people are wearing masks and half aren't. And when I'm outside, I generally don't wear a mask unless I'm like in a crowd of people. And I avoid that nowadays too, because it just drives me. There's something to like get away from people. That like unsure part about wearing a mask outside. This just goes to show what we didn't do properly is that those mask mandates should have never lifted when we got the vaccines. They should have never have gone anywhere, because think about it. If you're in a fight and you happen to score like a really good lucky blow, or that was your life shot, like you've been waiting for that opening, and you've been waiting for the vaccine, you've been waiting for that opening, and that guy's going to drop his guard down, and boom, right? Would you just like walk away and drop your defenses? I'll tell you what, that's how you lose a fight. But you're supposed to follow that one big blow up with several others, right? You're supposed to win that fight there. And we didn't. We dropped the ball. We mask mandates. We don't need them indoors anymore. You can go anywhere without a mask. Oh, we pulled that back really quick, right? In time for what? 2 now variants to start popping up.
And keep in mind, the mask thing, the whole anti-mask thing started basically when Trump flouted the idea of wearing a mask because he didn't want it to mess up his makeup that he wears every day.
He wanted people to see his face. He thought he was.
And had he been at the, again, we've talked about this before, but it's worth repeating here again for maybe those that weren't along for the ride back then. But we said back before the election even happened, had Trump handled coronavirus differently, he would have won the election in a landslide. And it goes to like that seminal point right there. Had he been at the forefront and said, guys, masks, everybody wears them. It's worth it. It works. My scientists say it. My people looked into it. It works. We all got to do it. I promise you, more people on the right wing side, the conservative side, they would have fallen in line and worn masks. I think that is I don't even know that you can question that.
There's no questioning that. There have been none. It'd be like, this guy guided us through like the worst. It was a 100-year pandemic. Oh my god! Like imagine that. Like Donald fucking Trump.
For him. I may even have voted for him if he'd have handled coronavirus properly. I think I could have been swayed.
Right. But what did he do? Instead of getting up and tell people to wear masks, he was like hydroxychloroquine, inject bleach, and lights up your butt, and it's fine. It'll go away like a summer breeze.
And one day it'll just disappear.
Everything's
that's the quote that I'll never forget. That anti-mask thing, the not wearing the mask, and then one day it'll just go away. Poof, gone. Like a miracle. And here we are now, dealing with fucking the second set of variants of this goddamn thing because he couldn't lead people in a pandemic, in a crisis. He couldn't lead.
It makes it, again, of all the things that we questioned in his motives, like it's again just a little more evidence that like it wasn't what even the people like. So there's people that know who Trump are and still are on board, and I mean like the know who Trump is, and they're on board. And there are the people that buy into the gimmick, right? Mm-hmm. And even the people that are just like bought into the gimmick, there's probably a few chiseled off that iceberg, but there's still a disproportionate amount of those people out there that like just bought the gimmick and like are just like buying the rhetoric. And here we are.
Are you going to get into this next story with the Dutch cities, by the way?
Oh, I absolutely am, because
you're
tired of working.
You fucking rev me up today, aren't you?
I'm tired of working, and I saw this one, and I was like, this one is all Ben all the time. This one is from nltimes.nl. Dutch cities want to ban property investors in all neighborhoods.
Yep.
The large municipalities in the Netherlands plan to make wide use of a legislative amendment that will allow them to designate neighborhoods where investors won't be allowed to buy cheap and medium-priced homes and rent them out, that the NOS found after surveying the municipalities. I don't know what the NOS is, so the NOS. The legislative amendment is expected to take effect on January 1st. The intention is to give people looking for a home a better chance of finding one. On the tight Dutch housing market last year, a third of all homes sold in 4 large cities were bought by investors. Amsterdam told NOS that if it can, it will use this purchase protection for the entire municipality. Utrecht said the same, especially because we want to protect or prevent a waterbed effect, a spokesperson said, referring to investors targeting more expensive homes if they can no longer buy those in lower segments. So they're basically hedging their bets on the idea that like renting and landlords might be an immoral way to make money. Oh. And I told you this was going to be a very human episode of Topic Thunder, and I think I've delivered.
Yeah,
I know this is something that you take particular interest in. Yes. So am I poking the bear? Maybe.
For sure. Like if you follow me on social media, you know one of my big things is this idea of landlords. And I told you guys last week about this thing where these property investors, these big Wall Street investment firms are buying up homes and driving up the price of homes to the point where, you know, normal people cannot afford them. And they cannot afford the down payment. I saw something this week that said 1 in 7 homes in the United States, 1 in 7. Think about that. 1 in 7 homes is owned by a large investment firm. The price, if the average price of a home had increased at the same rate as wages, the average price of a home in the United States right now should be $61,000. It's not. in case you're wondering. It's like around 200. It would take a normal person working minimum wage or just above something like 27 years to afford a 20% down payment on the average price of a home. It is becoming a point where it is becoming out of control, where the rich are buying land, are buying property, and then turning around and renting it out because they can get approved for the loans for that property. And that's what drives me fucking crazy the most. Is that if you're buying it liquid, if you're buying that home cash, and you then want to turn around and rent it out, I almost don't have a problem with that. My problem lies where if you are paying for your investments with the labor money of someone else's labor, that is completely morally corrupt in my book. That is using someone else's hard work, sweat, and everything to pay for your investment. That just because you can get approved for a loan and someone else can't. But why can't these people get approved for a loan? Because the price of homes is outrageous. And with the prices that and the wages that we're paying people aren't in line to keep people up. So what's crazy is it's actually more expensive to rent than it is to own, but you can't get approved for the loan because you need a certain amount of money down, but you don't make enough money to be able to put it aside to be able to save up for that down payment on that house. So you're fucked and you have to rent. And renting, ladies and gentlemen, is like lighting your money on fire.
I disagree. In my situation, I disagree. But like, I get what you're saying in a situation like we choose to rent.
Sure.
I guess is that, and that's our decision. But like for people who don't have a choice, yeah. And those banks are giving those loans to people who are already leveraged out,
right?
As opposed to approving somebody who hasn't had the credit history or has a shoddy credit, or not only just shoddy, but maybe repaired credit, right. Maybe not a great history of credit.
Right.
They're giving the loans out to the ones that are already leveraged to the hilt in the spirit that, well, we know you're going to make a return on your investment because it's an investment loan. It's an investment property. And actually, having spent time in the title insurance industry, I know those investment loans the banks are happy to give away because they can give a higher interest rate on those loans too, because it's a commercial investment. It's not a residential one. And I believe there's federal laws that like stipulate a difference in interest rates there too. So of course the banks are happy to hand out a commercial investment loan in that regard, as opposed to a residential one.
Here's another aspect of this story that I think is this is the story that no one's talking about that I think is going to become a real problem real quick. The eviction moratorium has been lifted. Federally, the Supreme Court struck it down. Evictions are going to start happening. So, some estimates say 11 million people are going to be evicted when this happens. Where are those people going to live? Because once you have an eviction on your credit history, good luck getting any other renter to ever rent to you ever again. What are they going to do? What are we going to do if anywhere close to 11 million people, families families that your kids go to school with, people that you work with, may get evicted? Where are they going to go, ladies and gentlemen? You think we have a homeless problem now. Get ready for maybe 8, 9, 10 million families having no place to go. What are we going to do? The homeless shelters can't take them in. They can't live in their cars. Can you live in your car in the middle of winter in Chicago? No, you fucking can't.
Not with all your stuff and, like you said, a family of even like 2 or 3.
Where are you gonna go? You're gonna leave to go somewhere warmer because you got to live in your fucking car because you can't get anyone to rent to you because you have an eviction on your history. You have no. It's like having an eviction and trying to be a renter is like trying to get a job as a felon. It's really fucking difficult.
You're very limited.
Very extremely limited, and you wouldn't want to raise your family in a lot of the places that would rent to someone that has an eviction. They're in sketchy neighborhoods. It's going to be a major problem. Mark my words, ladies and gentlemen. If these evictions happen at any sort of rate that it's predicted, we have a catastrophe on our hands. The streets will literally be filled with homeless people. Yeah.
It's a terrible thing. And we have the money to fix this. We have the capital, we have it all to take care of all of these people. These are US citizens. Even if you wanted to, like, these are people born here, if that matters to you, which it shouldn't, but I know for some people it does. These are Americans. These are human beings. These are, like you said, these are your neighbors. These are your coworkers. These are people that you're used to seeing on the elevator coming up and down, that no longer have a shot at basically getting another home.
Mm-hmm.
And for what? Because of a virus that was mishandled and ran rampant and shut things down because we had to shut things down. Otherwise, so many hundreds of thousands of more people would be dead. Yes, we should have handled this a lot better.
Yeah. Courtney asked, you don't think that there will be a COVID asterisk? Maybe, but I'll tell you this, as someone who works in a business that looks at people's credit and makes determinations on loaning people money based on credit, the asterisk doesn't matter. All they see is affected by natural disaster and an eviction. It's not going to matter. It's like a voluntary repossession versus an involuntary repossession. Some people are like, oh, well, I turned it back in voluntarily, so it's not as bad. No, it's the same fucking thing. It's the same involuntary, voluntary. It's a repossession, and the bank looks at it as a negative. This is an asterisk or not. Lenders, renters, landlords are going to make decisions. If they have two people looking for a house or an apartment to rent from them, one person has the asterisk, the other person doesn't. Who are they going to rent to? 100% of the time, they're going to rent to the person without the asterisk.
And think about it like this too. What recourse you're going to have? Okay, so there's going to be all kinds of lawsuits about this, all the way up to the Supreme Court.
Oh, didn't we just have something that went all the way to the Supreme Court that was really controversial? What was it, Brooks?
If only there was some podcast.
Anybody out there in the comments, can you remind me what Supreme Court decision we were just talking about where we were like, they went against the law and went along political lines? There was something.
Damn.
Oh, yeah, it was fucking abortion.
That's a soundbite right there. Sorry. I don't even mean to laugh about it, but sorry. That's just kind of where we are with this. All right. I think we need to change the tone here. We need to change the tenor a little bit.
We need some science. You got some science?
I do, actually. And the science is behind a 4-day work week.
Ooh, see, listen, you fucking get me. All right, go ahead.
So Scotland, the Scots, they're going to give a trial to the 4-day work week. They're scheduled to give a 4-day work week without loss of pay. A report out today includes some ideas for how it could be done, drawing on experiences in Iceland and New Zealand. Reduced hours don't have to be taken weekly, but they could be targeted at particular groups such as parents. Which is not fair, motherfuckers. Just because I don't have a kid doesn't mean like I pay higher taxes because I don't have a kid.
I've always thought that was weird up until I was married and had kids. And then I felt like, oh, all right, I get the breaks now. I don't feel so bad about it. But when I was single, I felt just like you. I don't have kids. Why the fuck am I paying higher taxes? I should be paying less tax because I don't have kids. I'm less of a burden.
And then in a discussion with a former coworker, they were like, yeah, but it's because you're not providing another taxpayer into the pool to generate more income. What are we in the fucking Matrix? I didn't mean to sound like Rodney Dangerfield. What are we in the fucking Matrix? What sense is that? I spend more money per capita on luxurious things that are higher tax.
You put back into the economy far more than a person with kids does.
So another mealy mouth tax generating little fucking quadrupod.
Though you're clearly not bitter about it. So.
Not at all. Anyway, Scotland is going to try this 4-day work week. And we're going to check back with them to see how that works out.
That it works out?
Right. I think just about every study and every attempt to prove the 4-day work week doesn't work ends up failing. Like it works. Like it just what a radical idea, right? The 4-day work week. No, it's not 4 10s. We're not talking about like we're talking about like you just get your 8 days, your 8 hours, 4 days, 32 hours, your same pay. You just don't have that extra day, like that 5 days. Come on. As somebody who works Monday to Friday, anybody, wouldn't you rather it to be Monday to Thursday? Come on.
I would. Although my business is weird though, because I don't know how that would work in my business. Because like the car business it's a retail business, so I guess you would just have more employees that would just cycle out.
It'd be a nightmare for people who make schedules. That's about it.
As someone who makes schedules, I'm not real wild about it. I'm not wild about that part of it. As long as I'm getting a 4-day work week, I'm cool.
And we should all be cool with that. Yeah. I saw this really, really interesting article. And it's a really long article, so we're not going to go way into it, but it is from aru.ac.uk. And it is from the
deep dive right there.
Angeli Ruskin University, and it's in actually the UK. And I think we haven't covered it enough. There's only so much time and so much attention span here on the show. But we've talked about the gut-brain interface and connection, right? Yep. That the idea that there's a microbiome inside your intestines that could possibly, and now research is pointing to the idea that somehow has an effect on our emotional and intellectual states. So here is more proof that might actually be. Published September 2nd, 2021. So how about that? Fresh off the press here. Study: weak internal connections linked to body shame and weight preoccupation. Now, again, we said at the top of the show that this was going to be the most human episode. And for sure, we opened it with a beer that covered mental health. And now new research has discovered the strength of the connection between our brain and internal organs is linked to how we feel about our appearance. Published in the journal Cortex, the study is the first to investigate and first to identify the association between body image and the brain's processing of internal signals that occur unconsciously. Carried out by a team of psychologists and neuroscientists at the university, the study found that the adults whose brains were less efficient at detecting these internal messages are more likely to experience body shame and weight preoccupation. What they're basically positing is that the nerve connection, and this is actually the connections between your brain and the other internal organs via nerves, and it's something that's largely not studied very well, and a point of research past this particular piece of research. They're saying that the weaker those connections are, the more the brain legitimately tells the body to body shame and has problems, which basically is called dysmorphia, that you see something that other people don't. When you look in a mirror, you see something that other people do not. This is phenomenal stuff. Really this is a correctable thing. The gut biome, we kind of know what a sort of regular is, and we're able to affect that through various medications and diet, and sometimes even exercise and supplements. So the gut brain thing, everybody's like, oh yeah, you got the second brains in his stomach. It's kind of true, actually. There's a connection there that we truly do not understand. And I know last week, Ben, your big point in the big was that we don't really know what we're doing with education. We've only been doing it formally for so much time.
Mass learning. Yeah.
It's the same thing here with this type of, as things come up, as technology allows, we're allowed a better peek into our bodies and how things actually work. It's a very complex thing that's not still fully understood. So this bit of research is actually kind of amazing, and it's going to bear out some therapeutics to help people who have and suffer from these issues here. The vagus nerve, Biz points out, the vagus nerve is actually like a really weird nerve and a really misunderstood thing, and not understood, I guess. So in your spare time, maybe anybody who wants to check out the vagus nerve, check that out, because it's kind of like a crazy affects everything kind of deal. It is like the super highway for your body, I guess. Yeah.
Interesting.
Mm-hmm. And then we like to, before break, we kind of like to end it in some sort of like weird, haha, nice little fashion before we don't actually have a big. We're just gonna go to break and we'll do the lightning round.
Yes, indeed.
And actually, before the story, I want to remind everybody, like we said at the top of the hour, we have decided on the Topic Thunder charity of choice for our good friends down in Louisiana. So we have chosen the Cajun Navy Relief Fund. I believe it's CajunNavyRelief.com. But if you go to our Instagram, which is, if you're on Insta, just look up Topic Thunder Podcast. You'll see in our bio the link tree for the link to our charity. Again, folks, if you donate, let us know somehow. Either email me or send me a message. Send me the receipts. Send us the receipts. If you want our Gmail, it's really long. It's the Topic Thunder Podcast at gmail.com. That's the Topic Plunder.
The Topic Plunder.
The Topic Thunder Podcast at gmail.com is our email.
Or either one of us on social media or through Instagram. There's a million ways to get a hold of us at this point. Just some way, reach out to us and let us know that you donated.
And send us the receipts, because we have somebody that's going to match the donations and we need to make it official for them. So please give whatever you can to the Cajun Navy. Let us know about it. And before we go to break, I want to tell you folks the story of a family of wild boars that organized a cage breakout of 2 piglets, demonstrating high levels of intelligence and empathy.
Wow,
And
wild boars have more intelligence and empathy than us.
Than some people, for sure.
No,
and even on my friends list. A wild boar carried out a daring mission to free 2 piglets from a trap, demonstrating high levels of intelligence and empathy. A new paper published in Scientific Reports shows the incident, which occurred in January 2020, was documented by a team of scientists from the Czech University of Life Sciences at a national nature reserve. The wild boar trap, which used corn as bait, had been set up to help researchers study prevention measures for African swine fever. A camera captured the images of 2 juvenile boars becoming entrapped together for 2.5 hours. A group of around 8 other wild boars eventually arrived at the site of the trap, led by one fully grown female boar. In an attempt to free the trapped boars, the female boar charged at strategic points where wooden logs were blocking the doors of the trap. The report said the female boar's mane was visibly erect, known as piloerection, which scientists said is an indication of distress. Researchers said that it appeared that the other boars were attempting to help the female with the rescue operation. I'm having a hell of a time talking today. Woo!
Staycation is really getting to you.
It is. It's been a lot of food and drink. I've been the spoils of something. I don't know, not war. Within 6 minutes of beginning the rescue attempt, the female boar released the first log blocking the front of the trap. The entire rescue mission lasted 29 minutes, after which point the trap was released and the baby boars were released. Researchers suggested that, judging by the animal's size and gender, the female boar could have been the juvenile boar's mother. Scientists believe this is the first documented case of wild boar in demonstrating rescue behavior, which some consider a complex form of empathy. Wild boars to the rescue. Something I just wanted to share with you all here on Topic Thunder. And again, folks, before we go to break, just go ahead and check out that link tree on our Instagram. It's Topic Thunder Podcast on Instagram for the Cajun Navy Relief Fund. I've already given some money, and I hope you do too. Send us receipts so we can have our sponsor match it. And speaking of our sponsor,
check the mic and make sure it sound right, boys.
Oh,
I just wanted you to jam out to that really groovy tune. That, ladies and gentlemen, with that music sounds, is the time for the internet's most boring interactive segment ever. Ever. Just kidding. It's time for the lightning round, your favorite segment, and the creme de la creme, the peak of Topic Thunder, where the lightning comes. And I don't know where else this is going to go at this point. So you know the rules, folks. I read 3 headlines. You come back and let me know which one we're going to dive into.
I'm pretty sure my mom's tuning in tonight. She asked me about tuning in. She tunes in just for this segment. She loves the lightning round. Loves to vote and be the decider.
All right. And Mama Jordan's vote, no offense to anybody out there, it's like 1.5 votes.
Right, exactly.
Just to re-show deference here. So, ladies and gentlemen, without further ado, headline number 1. Court orders parents to pay son $30,000 for the value of his porn collection that they destroyed.
Okay. Okay. I didn't know where that was going at first, but you got me at the end.
Dairy Queen customer urinates at counter after mask dispute on Vancouver Island.
All right.
And headline number 3. Man inserts eel into rectum in hopes to relieve constipation.
Oh, come on. That's going to be a really, really, really difficult one to beat. But let's hear it once again.
Let's get this. Let's lay it out there. Let people think about this and where this is going to be going here as we deal with that dreaded delay. Headline number 1. Court orders parents to pay son $30,000 for the value of his porn collection that they had destroyed. Headline number 2. Dairy Queen customer urinates at counter after mask dispute on Vancouver Island. And headline number 3. Man inserts eel into rectum in hopes to relieve constipation.
This should be a runaway. As good as number 1 is, this should be a runaway. And the early votes are indicating that that's what we're going to see. Ryan Hansen looks to be voting for the eel story. Angela is voting for the eel story. Wack does have a good question, though. He's interested in what would be considered a $30,000 porn collection.
Or was it eel to eel?
Aunt Chris is voting for the eel story. Biz also going for the eel. My mom's going for this is a landslide. The eel story. Billy Wack is also voting for the eel story. I'm going to vote for the eel story. Oh man, unbelievable.
Eel. I think this is this might be unanimous.
This is maybe the first unanimous in a long time. I don't know if it's the only one.
Eel really.
Courtney going for the eel. Yeah. So here we are. Oops. I think it's a landslide. I don't think there's any reason for it to move to go. Voting's closed. Let's hear about this guy. Because what kind of asshole puts eels in his ass? Like what the hell?
I was wondering where you're going to lead us with that one, but yeah, what kind of asshole puts eels in his asshole? Well, a man from East China's Jiangsu province inserted a 20-centimeter long eel.
If he wasn't from Florida, I definitely would have said he was from an Asian country.
For sure. He inserted a 20-centimeter long eel into his rectum from his anus. I don't know how else you do it. On July 20th in hopes of relieving constipation, but instead almost lost his life after the eel entered his abdomen. We'll get back to that in just a moment. What motivated the man to do so is a folk remedy that says an eel can help with a bowel movement.
Shut up.
But instead of curing the constipation, the eel went from the man's rectum to the colon and bit through it, entering the abdomen.
No.
Oh, it gets better. He finally went to the hospital after enduring pain on the first day, as he said he was, quote, too shy to see the doctor.
Oh, no.
The doctor who gave him the operation, they didn't even say it. They didn't even go to like tests or like studies or like MRIs. The next sentence, the doctor who gave him the operation said he could have lost his life as bacteria in the large intestine may cause hemolysis when it reaches the abdominal cavity. This is a real sentence. The eel was still alive by the time it was removed during the operation.
Oh no, it was not. No.
That was a real-time eel.
Oh my God.
The man is not only the victim of the folk remedy that says inserting an eel into your rectum can cure constipation. The 50-year-old man, 50 years old, 50-year-old man,
supposed to know better.
grown ass man, did the same thing, except he inserted a 40-centimeter long eel, and this was in June of 2020.
I'm gonna throw up.
On June 2nd of 2020, this is bonus material. On June 2nd of 2020, an African carp was found in the stomach of a young man in Guangdong who claimed that the fish slid into his rectum when he accidentally sat on it.
Shut up! No way, this is real. Is this from The Onion?
Globaltimes.cn. I guess I didn't send you the link. Shame on me.
All right, don't worry about it.
Nobody needs to say. Try the V eel. Dr. Eel. Good. Ryan Hansen. Ryan Hansen.
Lying, by the way. Real eel Jay Jensen, by the way.
This is getting a life of its own. I love it. Real eel Jay. Yeah, right. Come on. This is great stuff right here. So, yeah, don't do that, folks. If you've got to go to the bathroom and you're constipated, I don't know.
It sounds like, Brooks. It sounds like the same type of people that take ivermectin because some right-wing asshole on the radio said that they heard that a doctor uses it to treat COVID. Sounds like the same type of shit, right? Like, oh, well, there was an ancient remedy that says if you stick an eel up your asshole, it'll cure constipation. That's what you sound like. When you're trying to take any other fucking medicine other than what is widely prescribed for that, you sound like that asshole.
I can't say it any better than that, ladies and gentlemen. Yikes.
Yeah.
That is, if you got, just have some fiber, right? That's what you're, some Metamucil. If you got to go, that's how I help. I mean, that was another episode of Topic Thunder, ladies and gentlemen. Thanks for playing along. We do appreciate you. Again, folks, if you haven't already, please go and donate to the chosen charity of Topic Thunder, the good people doing the Lord's work at the Cajun Navy. So check out our Instagram for the Linktree link right there. We might be doing more with Linktree now that we actually understand what it is. So check it out. We might be posting the links for the stories that we cover here. We're trying to figure that out as we go along. But yeah, folks, give what you can. Let us know so we can have our sponsor match it. Ben, how are you doing?
I am fucking awesome. I'm going to watch this pay-per-view. I'm already getting text messages that it's awesome. So.
Oh, okay. So there's some guy out there on a pay-per-view. Okay.
Yeah, somebody's making his return to wrestling after 7 years. I don't know.
Damn. Thanks for listening to Topic Thunder, folks. Rapapa.